My name is Justice, and I just completed my first AI consultation. It was done completely for free, and it was a business who I was able to get in contact to through a warm, I guess, connection. Because the person who I reached out to is someone that I knew pretty well, and someone who I had worked with before. When I reached out to him, I had asked him if he'd be willing to hop on a call. And he was willing to hop on that call. So when I started talking to him, I started explaining the process that I would take him on with the AI audit that I was offering to do for him. And it was going to be all free, and it was all free. Following that, I sent out a little questionnaire, a little form that he could fill out of areas where he's noticed AI or noticed where his processes may be inefficient or slowing them down or taking up time and stuff like that. So if there was something where he was like, oh, wow, this is something that's very costly for us, that was something that I was able to get from that form. After that, we had hopped on a call a few days later where I was able to do a much deeper dive into their business process and the stuff that they filled out on the form. For example, one of the things was file management and access to files. So when I hopped on the call, that was something that I was going into a bit deeper with this person and with this client, that I was able to go deeper into what they were doing and what was time consuming or costly about it. When I did that, we were able to determine that it was just the fact that the organization was made it hard to have easy access to all the files in their internal file structure. So so what happened was that coincidentally they were putting together files and related um, data sheets to manage all their previous projects and stuff like that. And I had recommended that within that file, they can add file locations. And using that, they'd be able to upload that to a large language model. And in this large language model, they would be able to um, query the chatbot, which is ChatGPT, and say, hey, where is the file related to this project that we did X amount of time ago, or this project that we did that was related to this area? So that's what we did. We went deeper into those processes and were able to learn more about what was holding them back. We also identified a few other areas like meeting notes, proposal writing, um, pricing, and stuff like that, where AI may not necessarily completely solve it or completely do it for them, but at least it'd be able to speed up their process to a final draft or a final result. Let's see. So we went through all of that. I was able to learn about their systems, what mattered to them, and one of those things was just being able to do those processes more efficiently. So during the next call, I was able to present my solution. And funnily enough, there was a lot of custom solutions I could have recommended, a lot of solutions that would have been able to solve their solution very well, but would have been very costly as well. So I focused on how can they leverage AI systems like, or large language models like ChatGPT to get the best results, to harness this system that won't be thousands and thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to develop. So I presented it, I explained the value behind it, the money saved, the times that would be able to be saved. I presented a demo of what the solution could look like within ChatGPT. And during that period, I also was able to recommend tools to them like N8N and Make.com, where they'd be able to use these tools for themselves if they were willing to look into that. Because for this consulting call, I wasn't necessarily focusing on the implementation. I was trying to learn more about their processes to see where it was even possible to implement AI. So that's the full rundown of what this project was and how I went about it. And I believe it was a very valuable experience because I was able to get over the initial fear of reaching out to a company. I was able to get over the initial fear of asking questions and diving into their processes. And I was also able to get over that initial fear of presenting a solution that you may be worried about sharing. Because AI has a lot of potential and it's extremely valuable, but sometimes it's hard to quantify it and make it feel valuable when you're outside of those companies trying to explain to them what makes it valuable, right? Because they're going to be able to tell if something is valuable or not. They're going to know what they need and what they don't need. And I guess there was a level of worry for me where it's like, oh, I could present this stuff, but it really comes down to them if they believe that it would be valuable. And there was something I had recommended on the first, or I guess it was the second call where we deep dived into their processes, where I made a kind of casual recommendation on something that could speed up their time to developing these proposals and stuff like that. And when I hopped on this last call where I presented the solution, he had cut in and told me that that recommendation was incredibly valuable and that was able to create a much better response. And that made me more confident during the rest of the presentation and also for future presentations I may give, because now I know that what I'm sharing is valuable. So that's a rundown of this first I guess a rundown of this first AI automation consulting, whatever you want to call it.